So the whole COVID-19 experience was interesting because it coincided with me pursuing more academic work. So I had to work on some research paper, and I, I wrote this like 5,000 words essay, if you like, also on my website that became the basis for a letter that was signed by many preachers and scholars all around the world, which was about COVID-19. Because COVID-19, we think it's all really sad, and yes, obviously the deaths are terrible and what's happening, but it's a window of opportunity for us to think about our lives in a very profound way. So there are certain lessons that I try to develop in my mind and on paper to articulate to myself and to the world that actually this is a window of opportunity. The first thing is it teaches us that we're not independent. We have this full sense of self-sufficiency, and it creates hubris and ego, and we have, just because we're affluent in some way, or comparatively or relatively affluent, we have this self-sufficiency, and that creates ego, and we think we're independent. We have this neoliberal ridiculous attitude that it's just me, man, right? And it's my rights. But this is all rubbish, because ontologically, your very existence was as a result of almost an infinite number of variables that you had no control over. And you needed them to be in place for you to be here today, right? So this full sense of individualism is full. We're individuals, we're not individuals, right? And so, and if you realize, and COVID-19 makes you realize that, because we're relying on doctors, we're relying on a practical system to facilitate our affairs, we're relying on all of these amazing things, doctors, nurses, post people, medicines, healthcare system, government, other people. We're relying on all of those things, and all of those things are ultimately connected and reliant. Well, they're reliant on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're there because of Allah. So that should make us realize that we are solely dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that realization could be a means for your guidance. Everything ultimately is dependent on Allah. I mean, we could go through the contingency argument for God's existence if you want, or the argument from dependency to show that that's the case. We're all contingent, and contingent things ultimately require a necessary being. I mean, we could talk the philosophy about that later, but the point is, that is a existential spiritual wake-up call to make us realize it's not just me. And it removes your arrogance and your ego and makes you humble, because being arrogant and egocentric and egotistical is a barrier to divine grace and mercy. Having a full sense of self-sufficiency is a barrier to divine grace and mercy. So COVID-19 could have come to make us humble, and it's through our humility that we could be guided and we could have mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's one of the key lessons.